Welcome back to the deep dive. Today is January 25, 2026. Now, if you look at the calendar, it's just a date.
Right, just another Tuesday.
But if you're tracking the pulse of Indian culture and politics, you know the energy right now is absolutely electric. Tomorrow's Republic Day.
Which means the whole state machinery is in full swing. But what's so fascinating is today, the eve of the holiday, it's just this collision of stories.
It really is a chaotic intersection, isn't it?
Completely. You've got the government in New Delhi announcing the Padma Awards, the highest civilian honors. At the same time, you have these massive, almost militant political rallies happening down south.
And stuck right in the middle of all of it. The film industry wondering if it's about to be replaced by software.
It laughs.
Yeah, basically. And that's exactly the stack we're trying to work through today. Our mission here isn't, just a standard movie review show.
No, not at all.
We're trying to connect the dots. We're going to look at how the state honors its legends, how Bollywood is frankly panicking about AI, and how the line between a movie star and a political leader is just vanishing.
Right before our eyes. And we're pulling this from a pretty diverse set of sources today. We've got industry reviews, political analysis from Tamil Nadu, some historical archives on directors like Ramesh Sippy.
And some very fresh, very controversial reports on AI and filmmaking.
Exactly.
So let's start with the news that just broke, the honors list. The civilian awards were announced today, and, for anyone who loves Indian cinema, this is a heavy list.
It is. Heavy and maybe a little heavy-hearted. The headline that grabbed you immediately is the Padma Vibhushan.
The second highest civilian award in the country.
And it's been awarded to Dharmendra posthumously.
Wow. It's just a massive moment. For decades, he was the He-Man of Indian cinema. You think of him, you think Sholay, you think of this symbol of raw masculinity.
But he could also be incredibly vulnerable on screen.
He could. And seeing that posthumous tag, it just drives home the end of an era.
It does. And the reaction from his family was very telling. Hema Malini put out a statement almost immediately.
I saw that.
And she didn't just say thank you. She talked about being so proud.
It felt like she was framing it less as an award and more as a final validation.
Exactly. Because in the film world, box office numbers fade. Commercial success is temporary. But a Padma Vibhushan, that validates the cultural legacy.
It's the state saying, you mattered to the history of this country.
It's closure for the family, for the industry.
Yeah.
A final, definitive statement.
Now, moving down the list to the Padma Bhushan, the third highest honor, we have Mammootty. And this is where I want to pause, because obviously he's a giant of Malayalam cinema. But looking at the coverage, the real story here isn't just the award, it's the reaction from his peers.
Specifically from Kamal Haasan.
Right. Kamal Haasan sends out a congratulatory message, but he uses this very specific phrase that just caught everyone's attention. He said, "My fans should also be his fans."
And to understand why that phrasing is headline news, you have to understand the tribalism of South Indian cinema.
Break that down for us. When you say tribalism, are we just talking about, enthusiastic fan clubs, like sports teams?
It's so much deeper than sports.
No.
Historically, in the Tamil, Telugu, and Malayalam industries, fan bases are almost like political constituencies.
Okay.
There are these deep rivalries. The logic is often, I support star A, so I must actively hate star B. It can get incredibly toxic.
You see it online all the time.
Fan wars, yeah. And sometimes it even spills into the real world. So for Kamal Haasan, a Tamil icon, to explicitly tell his base to embrace a Malayalam icon like Mammootty,
That's a deliberate act.
it's a deliberate dismantling of those walls. He's basically giving a directive from on high. Stand down, appreciate the art.
He's pushing for this pan-Indian appreciation of craft over just, blind regional loyalty.
Precisely. It's a very classy, almost statesman-like move. He's trying to unify the southern industries instead of pitting them against each other.
And then rounding out the big acting honors, we have R. Mathavan getting the Padma Shri.
Which just feels appropriate, doesn't it? Mathavan has managed to bridge that north-south divide better than almost anyone of his generation.
He works everywhere. Hindi, Tamil, he's respected in both.
Yeah.
So, okay, that's the dignified side of the industry, the government honoring its legends. But we have to pivot to what's actually happening on the film sets because, well, it's rarely that dignified.
Rarely.
I was reading the production notes for Border 2, and the story about Sunny Deol just, it completely humanizes him.
This is the sequel to Border, one of the biggest patriotic blockbusters ever.
Right. And Sunny Deol is the guy who pulls hand pumps out of the ground. He's the stoic warrior. But he admitted to his director, Anurag Singh, that the dance sequences were stressing him out.
Which is, I mean, so relatable.
It's more than that. He actually pretended to be sick. He literally used the dog ate my homework excuse to get out of choreography rehearsals.
It's funny, but it also speaks to the pressure these legacy stars are under. They're expected to do everything: fight, cry, deliver monologues, and dance.
Yeah.
But the Border 2 notes give you this really sharp contrast. In the same week he's dodging dance steps like a school kid, he's meeting the family of Nirmaljit Singh Sekhan.
The Param Veer Chakra recipient.
Yes, the highest military decoration for valor. So you get this incredible duality. On one hand, the complete frivolity of Bollywood, the song and dance.
And on the other, the immense gravity of the subject matter. Meeting the family of a real-life war hero grounds the whole project.
It's that unique Bollywood tightrope, isn't it?
Yeah.
Trying to respect the dead while also hitting your marks for the music video.
And just hoping the audience buys into both.
That's a tough balance.
Speaking of balance and legacy, we're seeing the next generation roll out. Sajid Khan is back directing a film called 100. But the casting, it feels like a 90s reunion, just one generation removed.
You're talking about Yashvardhan Ahuja.
Govinda's son. He's making his debut.
Alongside Nutanchi Goel. They're filming at Mumbai Film City right now.
It's this fascination the Indian industry just can't shake. We just talked about Sunny Deol, a second-generation star, now Govinda's son.
It creates a sense of continuity for the audience. You transfer your affection for the parent onto the child. It feels like a safe bet for producers.
But it puts so much pressure on these kids to replicate a kind of magic that might have been totally unique to their parents.
It's nostalgia as a business model. But, and this is huge but, while the names on the posters might feel familiar, the way these movies are getting made is changing so fast that even the insiders are freaking out.
We have to talk about the AI controversy.
This is the story of the day for me. It all centers on the trailer for Vijay's new film, Jananayagan.
The Lapathy Vijay. This is a massive deal.
The very same. So the trailer drops, gets millions of views in hours, but then some eagle-eyed viewer spots something at the 23-second mark.
It was a watermark, wasn't it?
Not just any watermark, a Google Gemini watermark, just floating right there in the frame.
Okay, hold on, let's unpack this. Google Gemini is their generative AI model. It makes images, video from text prompts. Why is a watermark from a Google product in a multi-million-dollar film trailer?
That is the million-dollar question. It implies the production team used AI to generate some part of that shot. Maybe a background crowd, maybe a sky.
And they were either using a free version or...
Or they just got incredibly sloppy in post-production and forgot to crop it out.
That is embarrassing.
It's embarrassing, but it's also incredibly revealing, is that peek behind the curtain. It proves that AI isn't some future concept for Indian cinema.
It's here, now, in the editing suite.
And it's not just this one slip-up. Our research shows a few other projects where AI is front and center.
Right.
You've got Ajay Devgan's Baltan Haji, which is being marketed explicitly as an AI-powered prequel.
Yeah.
You have fully AI-generated films like Naisha and things like The Age of Rage at the Mumbai AI Film Festival.
So what are they actually using it for? Is it just making backgrounds cheaper?
That's the entry point, sure. But the reports show it's moving up the value chain. They're using it for concept art, for screenwriting help, and most controversially, for de-aging.
De-aging. Taking a 60-year-old star and making them look 30 again.
Exactly. Which lets stars play younger versions of themselves without hours of makeup, but it opens up this massive ethical can of worms.
Okay, but play devil's advocate. If it helps them tell the story better, why is it a problem?
The anxiety is about the very definition of a performance. You have this deep divide in the industry right now. One camp, mostly producers, sees it as a tool for efficiency. We cut costs, we shoot faster.
And the other camp.
The writers, the actors, the artists, they see it as a devaluation of human creativity. If an algorithm generates the performance, whose soul is in that scene?
And for you, as the viewer, it changes everything. When you see that Google Gemini logo, the illusion just shatters.
Completely. You realize you aren't watching a captured reality. You're watching a generated probability. It makes the content feel, I don't know, disposable.
It's the uncanny valley problem. And we seem to be sprinting right into it. Let's pivot away from the high-tech dystopia for a minute and look at the content itself. We try to spotlight regional releases, and today we're looking at a Telugu thriller called Cheekatilo.
This one is on Prime Video. Stars Sobhita Dhulipala, who plays a character named Sandhya.
And the setup sounds very modern. She's a TV host turned serious journalist.
And the narrative structure is what makes it interesting, especially for our listeners. The whole story unfolds through the lens of a true crime podcast.
A podcast within a movie. Very meta.
It is. And it's a clever device. It lets the character narrate her inner thoughts and the investigation pretty naturally. The film uses this to tackle some heavy themes.
Like what?
Gender prejudice, the superficiality of TV journalism versus the grit of a real investigation. It's holding a mirror up to the media landscape.
But I'm looking at the reviews here, and they're not exactly glowing. What's the issue?
It's the execution. The consensus seems to be that while the social commentary is sharp, the pacing just falls apart.
The third act problem.
The classic thriller trap. Apparently, after the killer is finally revealed, the movie just rushes to a conclusion.
And why is that such a deal breaker for a thriller?
Because the reveal isn't the end. The audience needs to sit with the why. They need the fallout. If you rush the aftermath, you rob the viewer of that emotional payoff.
It feels like the director just checked a box and rolled the credits.
Exactly. So it's worth a watch for the media critique, maybe, but don't expect a perfect landing.
Okay, let's move to our final segment. And this is probably the heaviest part of our dive today. We talked about Vijay's movie trailer with the AI slip-up. Now we need to talk about Vijay, the politician.
This is where that theme of cinema meets politics stops being a metaphor and becomes a literal reality.
So Vijay launched his party, the Tamil Nadu Vetri Kazhagam, or TVK, and today he held a massive rally in Mamallapuram. The numbers are staggering. He addressed about 3,000 party cadres.
But the reach is in the millions. And it's not just the numbers, it's the language he used. I looked at the transcript of his speech, and the rhetoric is incredibly militant.
I noticed that. He called the upcoming election a democratic war.
War. Not a contest, not an election. A war. That is a very, very specific choice of words.
And he's framing himself as the underdog, right? He brought up the CBI probe against him, his film release being stalled.
He's building a narrative of persecution. The system versus the rebel. He explicitly said he won't bow down, and he took shots at both the ruling DNK and the opposition AIADMK. He's trying to carve out a third path.
Which is notoriously difficult in Tamil Nadu politics.
Very.
I saw the party symbol as a whistle.
Yeah, the whistle. It calls back to his film roots, the whistle-worthy moments in the theater. But it also implies blowing the whistle on corruption.
And he instructed his cadres not to use money to get votes.
Which is a huge issue in elections there. By saying no cash for votes, he's trying to claim the moral high ground. He's betting his cinematic charisma will outweigh the entrenched political machines.
It's fascinating how in India, especially in the South, the transition from superstar to supreme leader is almost a natural career path.
MGR, Jayalalitha, NTR. Vijay is walking a very well-trodden path.
Yeah.
But how do we make sense of all these moving parts? Awards in Delhi, fan wars in Kerala, AI in Mumbai, rallies in Tamil Nadu.
It feels disconnected.
But it isn't. If you look at our sources, there's one figure who kind of connects all these worlds. Rajeev Shukla.
The omnipresent Rajeev Shukla.
That's the nickname. There was a recent interview with him that highlights this. Here's a guy who is a Congress MP in the Rajya Sabha. That's politics.
Okay.
He's a key figure in the BCCI. That's cricket.
Right.
And he has deep, deep ties to Bollywood. He represents the power corridor.
He's the glue holding that whole network together.
Exactly. He reminds us that these industries, cinema, politics, cricket, they aren't separate silos.
Yeah.
They're one big, swirling ecosystem of influence and money.
And speaking of influence and the pressure to maintain it, I want to wrap up with a historical parallel. We've been talking about the pressure on Vijay today, but we have a source on the legendary director Ramesh Sippy that I found absolutely gripping.
This is a classic story of risk. Ramesh Sippy is a god in the industry now. But people forget, he started his career with a massive chip on his shoulder. His father was G.P. Sippy.
The producer.
A producer, yes, but at the time, he was tagged as a B-grade producer.
B-grade. That's harsh.
It was the reality of the social strata in Bombay then. He was seen as a traitor, not an artist. So Ramesh Sippy comes back from the London School of Economics with one mission: erase that B-grade tag from his father's name.
And he did it. He made Sholay.
Only the biggest, most iconic film in the history of Hindi cinema.
Right. He climbed the mountain. But here's the lesson for someone like Vijay. After Sholay, what do you do next? How do you top perfection?
You can't. But he tried. He decided to make Shaan. It was the most expensive Indian film of its time. High-tech, James Bond vibes, massive sets. If it flopped. Initially, anyway. The audience rejected it because it wasn't Sholay. It was too slick, too Western.
It eventually became a cult classic, but at the moment, it was a brutal blow.
It shows that the stakes never actually go down. You think, once I make it, I'm safe. but you aren't.
You're never safe. Whether you're Ramesh Sippy in 1980 trying to top Sholay, or Vijay in 2026 trying to turn fans into voters while a Google Gemini watermark shows up in your trailer, public perception is everything.
It is so, so fragile.
And that's the thread running through our whole deep dive today. From the Padma Awards validating careers that are over, to AI threatening to rewrite how we even make art, to political rallies using cinematic charisma, it's all about controlling the narrative.
And the tools to control that narrative are just getting more powerful and more confusing.
So if you're listening to this, what's the takeaway?
I think it means we have to stop looking at Indian cinema as just entertainment. It's a mirror. It reflects the country's technological anxiety, its obsession with family dynasties, and its raw political ambition.
We've gone from the old guard, like Dharmendra and Mammootty getting their statues,
To the new guard, dealing with algorithmic filmmaking and democratic wars. The whole landscape is just shifting under our feet.
So before we go, here's a thought to leave you with. We talked about AI generating fake crowds in movies to save money.
Right.
We talked about actors like Vijay drawing massive, real crowds in political rallies to gain power. As those AI tools like Google Gemini get better, indistinguishable from reality, and as our politics gets more theatrical, more scripted, are we reaching a point where the manufactured reality of cinema and the tangible reality of politics are becoming the same thing?
That is a very unsettling question. If you can generate a crowd on a screen, how long before you can generate a political movement that looks just as real?
Something to think about the next time you see a CGI army, or a political one.
Thanks for listening to The Deep Dive.
We'll catch you next time.